So today's Business Growth Secrets Audit is with one of my amazing clients in my inner circle.
Revenue generated 10.8 million.
Can you measure performance of your marketing spend currently? Do we know that?
No, not offhand.
There is some huge untapped potential around the marketing and the sales function. So we haven't got a leader in sales?
No.
And we haven't got a leader in marketing?
No.
You told me, I deal with that.
Yeah.
You can't do everything. So really, really pleased to have you in today, Grant. Tell us all about the business and where it is now and what some of the struggles and the challenges have been across the time.
So we're in our 40th year in duration windows, and since day one, we manufactured and designed secondary glazing. And since then, we went on to PVC products, we went on to aluminium products. In that time, we've done a lot of designs. So we designed bifold door systems, we designed roof systems, we designed window systems, all in-house. Literally, that's what's kept us at the forefront and kept us, like, obviously on demand, because even though we was able to bring on systems from system companies, we also had our own, which only people could get from us as well. So one of the big things that we did originally from the beginning was that we was cash on delivery company. So we didn't do no accounts with anyone. And we still don't to this day.
How do you think that's impacted the business?
The pros to it is that we haven't had any companies that have gone under have taken us with them.
Yeah, of course, right. That's probably why you're still here 40 years later, right?
Absolutely. The downside is that you don't always get the big contracts.
Of course.
Because they want it on 90 days or 120 days,
yeah.
and then they could do retentions. We was after the smaller orders.
Yeah, which, that's cool, right?
So effectively, we could go down to Devon, but we're doing 6 drops on the way down to Devon. So we could keep our delivery costs down, and then we could service for one piece of secondary for like £100, but we could do it for like £35 delivery charge, where no one else could in the end.
That is great business. And, for anyone that is, watching and listening, to not have a huge, book of people that owe you money is a very, very powerful thing, because it allows you to plan your business correctly. Now, the business has been going 40 years.
I've been there in the company 30 years and worked my way through the company in every single department. And then an opportunity come up to run a side business. Unfortunately, my father got ill. I moved back into the company, but then I had to understand the whole mechanics of the business already established.
Do you want to tell us where you're at? I think you've got some things prepared that you wanted to show us, right?
Yes.
Which would be pretty cool
so
to see.
obviously the main banner and the main brand of duration windows. So literally we haven't really changed that at all.
Right, so
continued
40 years.
40 years, yeah.
Classic.
No change in that.
Classic,
Going forward. Got a little bit on the sides as well, which the 40th anniversary. We're doing a big open day on that. I think we've got about 55 clients already coming along. I want to get to at least 150 clients, 200 companies coming along. Brand new showroom as well we've launched. So we've got both. On Trustpilot, I think we've got about 500 odd testimonials on there now.
Nice.
Trustpilot, I think we're running at 4.9 on
Good. You've done a good job of building the brand. And
that's one of the things I've been pushing over the last couple of years, is more the personal brand as well as the brand itself. Because for many years, I was quite happy being behind the scenes.
What do you think changed?
Probably my sister coming on board. Because she was up London in corporate business, and then obviously come down, and she's very much like obviously in that phase of going, well, we need to get out there more, we need to be doing this, we need to do this. Since then, we're just winning award after award after award so far. I think just won another one.
No, you probably had a great business for a long time, but not had that much recognition.
No,
for it,
I think because I think that's it.
Now you're doing that. What impact have you seen from building the brand? What have you seen change?
For me, I think the biggest thing is the feedback from customers and the credence it gives, especially for new clients coming on, especially because they're window companies. For us, they're like, oh my God, you've got this, you've got this, you've got this. You must be half decent, to try us, So even if they've got
just
doubts
increase credibility.
Yeah, because we are one of the largest in the UK at manufacturing aluminium products, and we've always sort of kept it low key, when realistically we shouldn't be. So going on to here, this is the NFA 24. That's the most recognised awards in our glazing industry. That's where all the big system guys, everyone sort of goes for, and we won that last year.
Nice.
And we've been shortlisted again this year for another one as well. We are literally continuously updating our website. We've got big things going on behind the scenes at the moment, because we're now doing a lot more social media. The coding and everything, the social media and Google are not loving the coding on the website yet, the way it's been built. So I've outsourced that. To recode, I think it's about 300 pages we've got on our website.
Good stuff.
Again, the heritage range, and the Royal Stepped window that we've got there, that's literally, even now, we launched that a few years ago, and it's still the slimmest window on the market.
So you've got really good products, basically, really, really good products, quite a lot of innovation in your products, and Yeah. Okay. Great. And that's and not actually a good use of the brand. The 40 years, getting that out there, the awards. So we've got a lot of cool stuff going on there, which is really good.
And then obviously on here is where we get the prices, online estimators. So basically it's online estimate that goes straight to their email straight away. So it's automated.
Nice.
So as you go onto there, click into any of them to get price, put in the size, width, colour, and all of a sudden it goes straight to your email as a PDF. And it lets us know as well there's obviously been quotes, and then we begin to follow those up as well.
Love that. I think that's awesome, yeah? Okay, cool. All right, good stuff, yeah.
Okay, so we're coming into sort of the numbers. Revenue generated from April till March is 10.8 million. The marketing spend is 265,000. So that includes, we do shows, exhibitions, we do Google spend, we do Facebook, Instagram, magazines. We sort of spread across as much as we can. That's all that included.
Can you measure the performance of your marketing spend currently with the systems you have?
No.
Okay.
No, and that's why we're getting all the CRM and everything else in place. So I can try and start to.
All right, so we can probably simplify that journey for you today.
Yeah.
Because frankly, with a business like this, that marketing spend's actually pretty low, right?
Yeah.
This is revenue generated. Is that collected revenue generated? Because you said you have
sales. Yeah, that's sales.
Yeah, like collected cash in bank
Yes.
sales.
Yeah.
What is the new sales that you've got here?
New clients who are not on our database that have ordered from us in that time zone.
So we've got an incredible repeat business, 40-year-long business where people keep coming back again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
And we've got our revenue might be 11, 12% of new business that's coming into the business on a consistent basis, right? So 10%'s worth of new business. That gives me a really, really good idea. I mean, even looking at those numbers, immediately the marketing spend, the reason I asked the question, is it tracked? Is because if you could track it, I'd be certain you'd be spending more money.
Yeah.
One of the things that I always say to businesses, and just for those of you that are watching and listening, is that if you imagine that you're taking a plane across the Atlantic, you want to know what the levers are that are going to get the plane to go up, that are going to increase the speed, that are going to keep you on track. You want to know the tools in the cockpit. And one of the tools in the cockpit of a business is the marketing and the way that you use it. So if you want to go faster, that is a lever that you can push that can drive you faster. The problem is most people don't actually know how to use that lever and use that leverage point in a business in an effective way. And this is already an amazing business. If we want to go faster, it should be as simple as turning it on, which we're going to look at that, which is going to be really, really cool. Okay, so we know that we've got new sales of this, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So in terms of where we're going, this is where you are.
Yes.
What do you want for this business over the course of next year?
My goal is to increase the revenue by 10%. Over the next 12 months.
And you want social media growth?
Absolutely, yeah. Again, that's another area that we're not fully been focused on 100%. We've been doing obviously posts and everything for over last year, but I feel that we could do that even better, and now obviously to capture more followers coming across. And if we need to do more paid ads and all the other stuff that go along behind that, we've got the budget to do it. But I want to sort of make sure that we're doing it in the right channels. So
I'd definitely like to go backwards here in terms of the rev. So if the rev in the last year has been 10.8, do you know the trend of that? What was it the year before?
It was level. We broke even the year before.
Okay.
Yeah, so it hasn't gone up that.
All right. So around 10.8-ish, around that year.
So
what about the year before that?
So 22 to 23, we dropped about 10%. We held last year, and then we've gone up 10%.
What's the best year you've ever had?
The best year we've ever had, I believe, is 2018. I think that was around 15 million.
Okay. Oh, so you were at 15 mil.
Yeah.
Okay.
14 now.
Oh, and that was 2018. So do you think that is a rising tide raises all boats type thing?
Yeah.
You think the economy was doing well?
I think absolutely, 100%. Everything was moving up, and then
and you caught that wave, right?
Yeah, we caught it because we ended up being in the top 1,000 businesses.
Yeah, 1,000 businesses inspired Britain. Great, yeah.
Yeah, well so we was in that. I think we got that 2018.
Yeah.
So we just shot up, but the problem was there were massive growing pains flying up, and then obviously hit COVID as well, and then obviously come back down, and then just trying to come back up again.
What was it doing in revenue when you took it over 13 years ago?
13 years ago, I think it was about 7 million, something like that.
Okay, so over the period of time, you took it up as high as 15, and consistently 10 million plus.
Yeah.
That fair?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
All right, it's good to understand the trends. Of that 10.8 million, without getting too granular, are we saying that 90% of it is repeat business?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So of the 90% that is repeat business, how much can you bank on that business for next year? It's not contractual. It's not written contracts. No. Okay, so it is literally business coming back to you.
It is literally our lead time is. We are so close. Like a lot of people will go, "Oh my god, the business model," but it's always worked. We are literally 3 weeks away at any one time of being out of work. You never know what's coming in on the 4th week or 5th week.
It's interesting that with such an established business, the social media is a key area of interest for you because arguably, let's say 10.8 million increased revenue by 10%, right? Which means what? 11.5 million, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to grow the revenue.
Yeah.
The reality is, even if you lost all 2,000 Facebook followers you currently have, and you still grew to 11.5 million, would you be happy?
Yeah.
So why are you bothered? Why is this your biggest? Why is this such a big target?
I think because for me, I'm looking at the areas that we aren't fully covering. If I'm doing all the other bits, I'm doing shows, and then the one area that I'm not maximising on, I haven't fully explored the benefits of this side. I think that's
so
it's
you
more
see
of a,
this as an untapped potential opportunity. And, and the reason I bring this up, and again, I'm just going to address everyone that's watching along, is that social media is a big, big, big thing for a lot of businesses. But then there are some businesses where social media isn't the biggest thing. And with a business that has 90% repeat business coming through the door, a 40-year track record, there's a huge amount of opportunity and some big levers that we can pull in that business to get some more money in the bin, right, and get it growing, right, in the tin, not the bin, right, get it in the tin, right. So that's we don't want to put the money. Well, this is the whole point. We don't want to put the money in the bin, right? We want to put it in the tin. So yes, I mean, I can give you a strategy like that, which grows your following from 2,000 to 20,000. I can tell you that in 5 minutes if we want that. I just feel that there are probably some other areas that we can dig into, but
absolutely,
but we definitely talk about this. All right, so I've got some other questions that I want to dig in and ask. All right, so we're going to go through these, and it's almost like a detective looking at the business. We're looking to look under every single hole and every single piece to establish what the right move is. Funnels might not actually be the right move for this business. We're going to have a look at that. I think that CRM is a critical move though. Right, so I think it's huge, and I want to talk about that for sure. I then will look at lead generation depending on where it leads us, but we might be able to find a 10% win within the business easier, faster, and with less resistance. So let's have a quick look at that. Can you break down the £265,000 marketing spend for me as best you can?
The best I can. Let's say £60,000 on shows, exhibitions, £80,000 a year on Google, then it's about 30,000 on magazines, Facebook ads, and Instagram would be, I think it's about 20,000 on there. The other bits will be the showroom, which I actually put in there, which is to do with all the showroom wages and everything else on there that I do at the weekends and everything else. So that's all to do with wages included in that.
So they're marketing wages,
yeah?
Okay, so if it's 265, we've got shows 60 plus 80 Google. Right, that gives us 140, plus magazines takes us to 170, plus Meta takes us to 190, and then we're saying you've got £75,000 worth of wages,
which is
general
on
expenses.
Generally,
This is an amazing business, right? It's done some amazing, got a great track record, a great history, but this is a business that can be catapulted further if we wish to. We can explore that, right? But what we need to understand is when we spend, what do we return? It really is. What is our return on investment? This essentially is the most critical thing in driving a business. And we want to be able to understand that intricately. So when we spend £60,000 on shows, what is the average that I'm getting back? Do we know that?
No, not offhand. Not as a categorical sort of figure. The method and the mentality behind it was, one, getting brand out there, so brand awareness, going duration winners in the shows, home building shows and grand design shows and stuff like that, so sort of getting us and showing them new products. Where we target all the tradespeople through our magazines and Google and everything else, the mindset behind it is that if we are going directly to the consumer and they are seeing our product that they can only buy from us, then they'll tell their builder about it. Their builder will come directly to us to buy the product, and if they're happy with that product, they'll go on to another house and they're going to be working, then they'll rebuy our product again. So we're coming round this way to the trades as well as directly at the trades. So it's
But some big assumptions if we can't track it.
absolutely.
Right, okay. So
Absolutely.
fine. So
But because we know we know where they've got builders going, okay, we're doing this for this person.
So you hear it here on the
yeah,
grapevine.
you go
Yeah, yeah.
you hear
Okay.
it and you know it, but you don't know the figures.
So let's now talk about who's in the team. Who is the person that's heading this up? Because essentially, it's still spending 265 grand. Even if that's only a small percentage of the business,
Yeah.
right? 10% will be £1 million.
Yeah.
Right. So 265 grand. They might only be spending 2% of the business's revenue. Still spending a lot of money.
Yeah.
Still 265 grand.
Yeah.
So who is manning this? Who is heading this up? Who is the leader of marketing within the business?
Me. I'm the one who's sort of for financial side.
Okay,
So
so
I'm-
you are the marketing leader of the business.
Yeah, so regarding the spend and everything else, then obviously it comes through to then I've got a marketing person, which is my sister, who deals with making everything happen. So we'll see what the figures are, and so get okayed by myself, and then we'll carry on moving forward.
Okay, so when we're building a business, marketing is the art of having more conversations. And as Grant's saying, he's having conversations about the brand, right? He's going out, he's at the shows, he's talking on there, he's on Google, having conversations with Google, presumably got an agency in there. We then have the skill of sales, which is how do we close off those conversations and convert conversations into cash in bank and cash in revenue. So marketing generates the inquiries and the leads, and you've identified that as a problem.
Yeah,
And you're saying you're the leader.
yeah,
So essentially, you're actually responsible for that problem at
Yeah.
this stage.
Yeah.
Right? Who lives and breathes sales in this business?
I would say probably me.
How did I know that was coming, right? So we haven't got a leader in sales?
No,
And we haven't got a leader in marketing?
No.
So when we look at the business and we look at the different elements, you've got brand, which, by the way, I think you and it sounds like your sister have been working well on that and doing that,
Yeah.
and you've done it well, right? You've got the magazines coming in, you've got the awards coming in. It seems like you've got the brand element good.
Yeah.
The marketing element, which is the top of funnel and bringing inquiries into the business, I think that at the moment we're probably guessing a little bit on there,
Yeah.
and we're missing expertise.
Yeah.
Which, if we get that right, getting back to 15 million is very possible.
Yeah.
Irrespective of the economy.
Yeah.
And the market, because the bottom line is there's houses being built
Absolutely.
everywhere.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. And I know that it's going to be more competitive,
Yeah.
but there's still business out there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially if we
Absolutely.
become a good market in
Yeah.
business. And I just want to say to everyone that's listening and watching, when I start working with business, I build them out, I'm looking at 4 things. I'm looking at the brand, the halo effect. How do we stand out in the marketplace? I'm looking at the top of funnel. What's the inquiry flow like? I'm looking at the sales process. How are we converting those? And then I'm looking at the operations. How is the product, the service delivered? Now, this is the thing, Grant. You're doing great on Halo, and actually you're doing great on the hub, right? The operation, because you ain't letting cash leak out the door.
Yeah.
You're getting paid up front on your deals and the money, all right? You're manufacturing and building and innovating and having new products. And you know what? It also sounds like you're running a really happy ship. Well, you've got all your family in there. No one's arguing.
No,
Jesus, you must be
exactly.
doing
It
something
works.
right.
It
Right?
Yeah. Well,
So,
exactly.
that like there's all good, but you've got like a sandwich. And at the moment, these 2 pieces of the sandwich are there, but we need the marketing and we need the sales to catch up, right?
Yeah.
Which is going to be super important. And with that, we're going to build a plan for you. And now we're talking a sales and marketing plan, which is my favourite anyway. So this is
Works,
awesome,
yeah,
right?
it
Yeah.
is, isn't it?
So
Absolutely.
let's have a look at the sales and marketing of this business, and let's start to establish that and get you focused. For those of you that are watching and listening along, what I'm about to do is I'm about to start really getting heavy into marketing, really heavy into actually the sales process. And these are 2 elements that can really help a business get incredible growth. So I'm going to swap places with you, Grant.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to sit here.
Yeah.
I'm going to come up. I'm going to get the flip chart out. And then we're going to start going through this step by step. Does that sound good?
Yeah, brilliant.
Are you
Yeah,
excited, mate?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I am.
I'm
It's good to
excited
see. Be good to
Let's
see.
go.
Really good.
Okay, team. So I'm super excited. We're about to start building out Grant's amazing sales and marketing machine. But first and foremost, for those of you that are watching, I just want to draw this out. Essentially, there are 4 elements that we need to work on within the business. We need to work on our brand, which represents our halo effect. And the halo effect is our branding and how that shines over everything else that we do. Now, Grant has done a cool job here. He's starting to get magazine write-ups. He's starting to win awards. People are remembering his business. He's throwing parties and everybody's respecting the business and wanting to do business. So we've got a giant tick on this area, which is what I just mentioned to Grant. And now we need some steady maintenance here, Grant. So it's just kind of like keep winning the awards, keep getting the media, keep dialoguing with your clients, and keep that up and keep getting that your name out there so everybody really understands how great you are on a consistent basis. I even love what you've done with the 40-year perfect, okay? Where we got some challenges is in step 2, which is what we call top of funnel. Now this is essentially the inquiry flow, and at the moment this is this needs some work, right? Because at the moment you're not quite sure how to push that lever and drive more inquiries into the revenue, more inquiries into the business, which will drive the revenue. We're going to work on number 2 in a moment. Number 3 is the sales process. My instincts are taking me to this sales process to say that I think there could be a bit of leakage here, and I want to have a conversation about your sales plan as well, because you're heading this up and you're heading this up. But the problem with you heading everything up is if your expertise has not been built in these areas, you're doing your best, but there's some missed opportunity. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And when we've got a business, and that's okay, because let's imagine this was a £250,000 business or even £1 million business, and we had the owner was still heading these areas up, that would make perfect sense because, you know, maybe there's not the available capital, the available cash flow, but actually bringing key people in as well to take over these areas could make a huge difference to this business and make very little difference to the cash flow of the business. So this is a conversation that we're about to have in a moment, which is going to be pretty cool because we need some work here. Without a proper sales force, without a proper marketing force, we're going to have some challenge in the business. And then, you know, as I said, your hub of your business, the operations, the way that you run the business is a giant tick. It sounds like you've got a very happy camp. It sounds like the business has done really well. So big kudos here. Now we've got to work on these. And look, for those of you that are listening or watching so far, go and put yourself a score. Where are you on step 1? How's your brand? Are you winning awards? Are you in the media? Are you standing out like Grant? Are you being respected, admired, or revered, or you're not? Give yourself a score out of 10 and go over to the comments and just give yourself a 1 to 10. Just put 1 and then 7 if you're a 7 out of 10. Do the same for your top of funnel. How's your inquiry flow? Would you say your inquiry flow, your top of funnel, is it 10 out of 10? Is it 2 out of 10? And go to the sales process in the hub. Because it's proven scientifically that when you write things down, it actually starts to compound in the memory and you remember it. So even if you forget it right now, it's going to come back up in a week's time. I really must work on that. Make sense? Hopefully you're getting this. Anyhow, so at the minute, we have got spend of £265,000 that is going into the marketing. And we've got some areas, like we said, which is shows, which is Google, which is Meta, and was magazines as well, yeah? Okay. At the moment, we've got a bit of a lack of tracking, and then we've got some salaries in here as well that we're running, okay? One of the first things we want to do when it comes to our top of funnel is we want to be able to track the performance of money in, money out. So that ROI is incredibly important. Now, the way that you do these in multiple different areas is going to be really important. We are going to need, without a doubt, some technical marketing assistance in this business where you bring in some experts to actually do some of this work for you. That is going to be critical, okay? So we'll come to that later. This is the start of your actions. Yeah. And we're going to come back to that. This is critical, but I just need to explain it for you first, and then we'll go from there, okay? So the way that you would track a show. So if I'm going to spend £60,000 on shows, I want to know that that £60,000 that goes out is going to bring me in revenue, not just at that show, but actually on a continuum after that show. And the way that you do this, you mentioned CRM, is that all of the leads that are generated at said show need to be tracked and tagged as leads from the show, okay? Yeah. So for example, let's say you go out and do the Ideal Home show and it costs you, I don't know, 10 grand and you've got 100 leads from that show. So we've got £100 per lead. And of those £100 per lead, how many of them on a timeline go on to buy your product or service? Now, amateur business owners will be like, I did the show, I spent 10 grand, I ain't had no money back 2 months later.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like, oh, we'll do that show again. Because they haven't tracked it, they don't realise that they get a buyer here, buyer here, buyer here, and actually we get 25 grand here, you get 25 grand here, you get 50 grand here, and actually we made 100 grand and we spent 10.
Yeah.
Now the simplicity of tracking is this. So what we need to understand is this number, ROAS. What that stands for, ROAS, is return on advertising spent. And we need to track that. Every single penny in future that leaks out of this business, I want to focus on this. What it will do is it will put you in a situation where you love spending money. Because all of a sudden you go, I spent 10 grand, I made 100. If you knew that you're going to spend 10 grand and you're going to make 100, how quick are you going to spend the 10? You don't want to spend it, you're going to go, I want to be at every single show. And then you're just going to keep measuring that. And then you're doing what is beautiful as an entrepreneur, you are multiplying money. Now, I think you're multiplying money anyway. I just think you're not tracking it. And the problem is if you don't track it, then you can't continually make the decision over and over again because you don't have the intel. Now, it's a £10 million business. We want to be running your literally every single decision through the numbers, right? So from these shows, we need to tag all of the leads. They go into the CRM. And then what we need to do is we're going to have them as a cohort in the CRM as the ideal home show. And then all we do is every 3 months, we look at how many of them are bought.
Yeah.
And then we do a tracked revenue against that cohort of leads. Yeah. And we do that across the board for the shows. Now, what you really need is to get yourself somebody that is working in marketing and tracking this for you, living and breathing it, and giving you the decisions, right? So we need somebody in your business that's a marketing manager, right? Because they will be able to do this, and then all of a sudden they'll be able to give you the data. Now the thing is, you're the CEO, which means you have to make all the decisions. And if you're the one making all the decisions, you can make decisions in one of two ways. You can guess, right, which can lead to up and down results, or you can use the data to make decisions, and that way you're going to get more decisions right. Now, as a business owner, you don't need to be right every time. But if you can be right 8 times out of 10, you're going to make a lot of money. Now, the way to be right 8 times out of 10 is to have the data and the numbers and never guess. So this is where we can get this person to help us, first of all, shows. That's an easy one, right?
Yeah.
The next one is Google spend. We're saying that we're spending about 80K on the Google spend. Now, really what we want to understand, I need to know some basics. Cost per lead. How much is it costing per lead? And cost per acquisition, which is cost per sale. Those two numbers, number one, number two, if I understand these two numbers, I'll understand whether I spent my 80K in the right way. As it stands, do you know what it costs you to get a lead from Google?
No.
Okay, and you don't know what it costs you to get a sale from Google either?
No.
Presumably. And the minute, it's like, you've got a great business, total respect for that, but we're throwing 80,000 at the wall and we're hoping it comes back.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is a key hire for you. I really mean it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because this person will tell you that. Now, obviously, we won't get too much into the profitability of the business. I respect that. You've got big competitors and stuff like that. We don't need to go too deep into it. Let's imagine that your business made 10% last year and you made £1 million, right? Yeah. Whether you did, you didn't, doesn't matter. We're going to use that as an illustration. And we were throwing £80,000. We don't really know what we got back, right? Yeah. And let's say next year you go into the business, you're like, you know what? Spent 80 grand on Google Ads. I don't really know. We're not going to do them anymore. You have another year, and at the end of this year, you do 250,000 in sales. Why did the revenue drop so much? I don't really understand what happened. And it'd be like, okay, when you dig into it, you find that actually the Google ads were driving a ton of business and they're really profitable, and you cut them off because you didn't know. Yeah. That would be one scenario. And you'd be like, oh, that's really annoying because I didn't know that. The other scenario, which would be really annoying, is imagine your business wasn't making £1 million a year. Imagine your business is making 200 grand a year, times are tight and things are tough, and you spent 80 grand on Google and you made nothing. That would be very frustrating. Whatever happens is we can't just make big bets like this. We got to know. Now, this is very simple. Again, it actually comes down to CRM. every lead that comes in from Google, we want to know how much did it cost us. This is a simple report, right? So it's like it's costing £25 to bring a lead into the business, and that £25 that we spend, we're getting, I don't know, 10 leads a week. So we're spending 250 quid a week here. You'll probably spend a lot more than that, but just to keep the numbers simple, right?
Yeah.
So we're getting 10 leads. Of those 10 leads, we're getting, one sale out of the 10 leads. Well, that means that essentially it's costing us £250 to make a sale. Now, if it's £250 to make a sale and they spend £1,000, your ROAS is 4. Which means every time I spend £1, I get 4 back.
Yeah.
Which means that, I shouldn't be spending 80 then, because every time I spend 80, I get, 320 back. Instead of that, what if I spent, more than that? And then you grow from there. So we need to know our ROAS here. We need to know our ROAS here. And this is how we make our decisions. I would be willing to bet that you've been doing magazine advertising for 10 years plus. You don't know if it works or whatever, but you keep doing it and you're afraid to stop it.
Yeah.
And how is that performing? Do you know?
No, I haven't got nothing that's tying it back.
Okay.
To where the leads are coming from that. So
okay. So Google and shows.
Yeah.
Okay. So shows, you're going to have a man at the desk or a woman at the desk that's checking people in, taking the details, logging them on the CRM.
Yeah.
That gives you the tracking, which allows us to track the performance, right?
Absolutely.
Google is digital. They're literally coming through. That digital is coming through from your inquiries, which is tracking them. Yeah. Do you also receive phone calls from Google?
No, only the main.
Okay, right. Yeah. So this is also super trackable, super easy. Your magazines, if you're currently, what do? Do they call you or do they inquire online?
They would inquire online, but again, they won't say they've come from the magazines. Okay. So we wouldn't know they've come from the magazines.
So this, you asked me about funnels.
Yeah.
This is where you want to use a funnel, because what you do is you can use a QR code in the magazine, which send them to the funnel, and then you'll know how many leads came in through that, because then it's a specific and you've got a funnel for magazine only.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, now I know the performance of magazines. I know whether to switch it on or switch it off.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
Really simple to do. And then we've got the meta ads. You spent 20 grand here. Okay? And again, I'm guessing we don't know what happened with that.
No.
Okay.
No.
So leads into CRM to give us the performance. Okay?
Yeah.
This is really important that you need for this business. You need a market manager.
Yeah.
Now, even, this size business, you probably have a marketing director, but I don't actually want you to go there yet. I think you should start off with a marketing manager, which is a technical person that you get to know well. Right, so this person should be really good at CRM, really good at understanding how to track return on investment through your activities.
Yeah.
And one other question I want to ask you, because all of this is all new business, right?
Yeah.
At the minute, you're saying you got 10% worth of new business across the course of the year. Now, if that, this is very rough tracking, but you spent 265k and you got £1 million. Right, that's basically what you told me earlier, which is a 4x ROAS.
Yeah.
Now, the reality is I need this person to track all that back. But if that's the case, then you should spend $500,000 and you'd done 2 million extra. You'd have the 10% you want, and you'd be at the 11.5, not the 10.8.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly, yeah.
So you just spend more,
logical,
receive more, really simple.
Yeah,
but it ain't that simple. And that's why we need somebody to come into this business. You need to hire this person.
Yeah.
I can connect you with a really great recruitment consultant, or you can go out and you can get on Indeed and you can start doing the things and you can go and get someone, right?
Yeah.
You can bring someone as an expert into the business. I think that is a critical hire, because every year you throw 265k at the wall not knowing what's going on, you're burning money, you're guessing.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Right, that's number one.
Absolutely.
All of that stands. So we're going to get technical marketing experts, starting for me with a marketing manager, which also is going to release some of the pressure from you and allow you to get a load of stuff done. But the second thing that I think is really important and I want to talk to you about is your database. The business is doing 90% repeat business, okay?
Yeah.
And of that 90% repeat business, that's making up like 9 million plus a year.
Yeah.
Okay? Tell me who is responsible for looking after this database, with these people on it, who is the person that looks after that, creates offers, takes offers to market, speaks to them, manages them, does business with them, looks after everything?
Ultimately, me. That I'm working with one of my team members who, so basically, I've got a sales manager that looks after
Okay,
that
great.
side.
So we have got a sales manager, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So that's great. So we've got a sales manager. What they like?
Yeah, again, they've come through the ranks in the company. So, from my opinion, they're good at what they do. Can they be better people? Yes.
Okay.
But ultimately, where we're looking after our customers and we're constantly
Yeah, look, you've got a great business, you've done a great job,
the
that's
the
fine.
sales team are
Okay.
always sort of,
What I would like to understand is how many people are on this database?
in total, there's probably about 4,500 companies, but that's basically where they come onto our system. But they obviously don't order at once or anything like that, and some may not order anymore. But that's on our database.
So 4,500 companies have ordered from you in the past.
Yeah.
Do you have a trade deal, a trade account, a trade card?
No.
Have you never done that?
No.
Why?
Because we've always done it as trade price all the time because we're to the trade. So our prices is always literally because don't do accounts.
So you've got a simple model, no
Yeah.
accounts payable.
No.
That's it.
Yeah.
Do you
So
do?
deposit up
Is
front.
there any rewards or any loyalty?
There'd be extra discounts for longer term clients.
Okay.
basically.
And how do you know who gets that?
So we have a list of companies that are on that discount by their turnover, their revenue they spend with us each year.
Okay.
So we look at how much revenue, then we look at right, okay.
Okay.
On this
Do you have account managers?
not as such. Obviously, I've got my main accountants in house.
How often do you phone these people?
I would say to reach across to all of them, not much.
Do you know the balance of inactive customers of the 4.5 versus active? And do you have that in a time period? So you'd have, for example, active within 30 days, active within 90 days, active within 180 days, active within 365. Would you be able to take that database and then look at who was active over those periods of time?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah,
I've got an
okay.
accounting software that does that.
Okay, so of that activity, who monitors that and measures it?
That would come back to me again. I mean, I don't go over the ones that are inactive.
So if they dropped in, if people were dropping out
Yeah.
of these periods, you don't do anything?
It wouldn't be until we look at the end of the year. So the end of the year, we'll be looking at the ones that haven't been active. Then we'd call them. We'd go through them.
So let's imagine that you have an account with someone that's done, they bought 500K's worth of products off you,
Yeah.
and they're constantly buying,
Yeah.
and they're buying, and they're buying, and they're buying,
Yeah.
and they're buying, and they love you, and then they just don't disappear, and they don't buy for a year.
Yeah.
You don't call them.
That would be noticed because it's a big number.
Okay. So how tightly would you suggest that this database is managed?
Not as tight as it could be.
The way I look at it, and it's obviously your business, you've lived, breathed it, been in it every single day. I just look at it cold and
Yeah.
unemotional. And I basically look at, you've got 4,500 people giving you 9 million a year. If I wanted 4,500 people to give me 10 million a year, all I've got to do is call them.
In theory, yes.
I would be hiring a salesperson. And look, this is the way I would look at it. Okay, so this would be my second thing. Now, you've got a bigger business. And when we get to a bigger business, we have to realise that, I mean, look, if you look at our conversation so far, you've told me, I deal with that, I deal with that, I deal with that, I deal with that, I deal with that.
Yeah.
You're good at what you do, but you can't do everything.
No.
And if you try to do everything, there's going to be holes.
Yeah.
We put huge amounts of resources into our databases in order to relinquish and bring people back from the database and work on much smaller accounts.
Yeah.
Not 50 grand. You know, we've got people calling our clients that spent £1,000
Yeah.
and touching base with them and engaging with them and continually calling them and having relationships and nurturing them. That is a simple thing that you can do
Yeah.
that can generate big revenue.
Overnight thing.
Yeah,
to work.
it's a really
Yeah,
easy
yeah.
one, right? If I had to pay someone 25K who was really good on the phone
Yeah.
to come in and ring all these people all day long,
Yeah.
and I had to give them 150 quid for every order tracked back to their phone calls
Yeah.
or their reignited order within 7 days.
Yeah.
So you get someone, they go and order within 7 days of you calling, yeah, they're going to get a bit lucky. They're going to have the odd deal that was going to order anyway.
Yeah.
But that basic prompting would generate revenue. I'm giving them 3 months, I'm putting them on the phone.
Yeah.
It's costing me what? A couple of grand a month, 2.5 grand a month. So I'm 7,500 invested over the course of 3 months. And then I'll do the same thing, as I said here. I would track the return on investment of that into the business, because then I would know what the result was.
Simple.
It is really simple.
Yes.
But I think that's why, obviously you do loads of things amazing. We're not talking about the manufacturing. We're not talking about the windows and the cars. And, this is just like the simple sales and marketing.
Yeah.
Nothing is more effective in sales than relationships and investments of time. So hopefully you heard that. Relationships and investing time. You do those two things well, you do relationships well, and you spend time with people, makes a huge difference. And I know that you've got big brand, big success. When people order, you've probably got good customer service.
Yeah.
But after they get their windows, who rings them after delivery?
After delivery, they wouldn't be getting a phone call at that point, because it'd be obviously delivered. No, that would be the end of that.
So so you could put this person on the cold list, or you could put them on the hot list and say, "Hey, you've just had your successful delivery. Hope you really enjoyed it. Just wanted to let you know we're just sending you through a voucher for your next order. If you order within the next 30 days, you get an extra deal. Just wanted to say, thank you for your business, and that's our reward." Okay, well, I might as well order because I've got that extra thing within the next 30 days. The price is all the same, but now I've got an incentive, so I'm going to order again. So this is a problem. What happens with a company a lot of the time is that in a growing business, in a busy business, the fundamentals get missed. And this was what might happen, Grant, is you hire this person and it all sounds good. Then Sally has a day off and Dave is your new person. They go, put Dave on the calls, on the customer account. And now all of a sudden Dave never calls one of these people ever again. So what you have to do is you have to have discipline. Dave is in that corner and all Dave does is call that database, and all he does is do that. That is his job. That's his job to make it happen. And we keep driving it. Now, this is the cool thing. When you see that it works, which you will, Dave becomes Dave and John. Dave and John becomes Dave, John and Steve. Dave, John and Steve becomes Sally, Dave, John and Steve. And then you build a team, which is a sales team that is constantly speaking to your clients. And all of a sudden, driving 15 million ain't going to be difficult because you've got a sales team that's driving the business. But it starts with Dave, John, Sally or Steve, whoever you want first. Making sense?
It does. Very much.
Good stuff. So I would be looking at some type of client account person, and I would bring them in as a test. Now, this is the cool thing. This is important to understand, right? Marketing and sales work together. So marketing is the art of having conversations. Sales is the art of converting those conversations into cash. Your marketing manager that you bring into the business is going to be able to work with this client account person and say, these are great people on the database. You know what? These are the ones you should call first, those ideal home buyers, because we've seen the trend that they typically buy. So get on the phone to them first, call them, they're bigger businesses, and your marketing person starts to work with your client account people, which then filters into your salespeople. Do you have salespeople or not?
I do.
Yeah. So what do? Do they go out or do they?
No, they're office-based, but they are constantly sort of following up.
Okay, so they chase the quotes.
The leads,
So this is really cool. So we've got sales working the leads. So this is not an action, which is okay. But what we haven't got is someone working the relationships. So this client account manager, client account person is there just to protect the people that have been through your process, that have ordered and been on that journey. Okay? Which is really cool. Now, I told you, that I would help you with the social media. So I'm going to do that in a minute, because I know you want that, right? But the 10% that you're looking to acquire in terms of growth is this protection of repeat business, I believe, can bring you the 10%. I think you've probably got some big clients and big accounts slipping through the net that are going to one of your competitors, and you're not quite seeing it because your eye is not necessarily on that ball because you've got so much else going on. I believe that your technical marketing manager, it should be a technical marketing manager. You don't need more like flashy design and content. What you need is technical. How much we spending, what are we returning? I believe that the insights and the data that you get from this person is enable you to spend more, which create more, which will get you to your 10%. So I believe that the 10% is in here, in those two moves.
Yeah.
And if you start to apply that, you're going to get the results. But finally, I said that I'll sort the social media. So, you know,
Right,
you said you're
really
your 2,000
Yeah.
and you want to go to 20,000, right? What's this on? Is this on Facebook, you said, didn't you?
It's combined, Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, so do you want a 20,000 across Facebook and Insta,
Yeah,
or just
20,000
cool.
across.
All right, we can simply run a likes campaign, right, on Facebook that's going to cost £10 a day, and very simple ad that we can run that will start driving this up on a consistent basis.
Okay.
You're going to have no problem there. It's like one campaign, it's one ad. We run that campaign, we get that out to market. And the other thing I think you should do from a more of a standpoint of how you market your social media, we saw the picture earlier, is your social media, I would stick to beautiful design.
Yeah.
And even not necessarily, doesn't always even have to be yours, right?
Yeah.
Is I would be looking at all the beautiful designs, all the beautiful houses, and I would be saying, hey, look at this beautiful barn. Look at the windows they've got. Hey, you know, this is what like our product that we've got.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, look at this beautiful house. Look at this £10 million house. Look at this £20 million house. Go and look at this. Go and look at that. And what you do is you start marketing aspirational. And when you start marketing aspirational, you link the aspiration to your product, where they swipe along and they see, actually, they can have windows like this. So this could be your house. You could have this window. Look at the impact.
Yeah.
So you've almost got a before and after and seeing what's possible. That's the way that I would market that content. That will help you to drive up from 2,000 to the 20,000. They are 3 simple steps you can do, which are going to add you 10% in rev, which you asked for, and get you the followers which you wanted.
Yeah.
Are we happy with that, Grant?
Yeah, it's good.
And do you understand all of those bits?
I do.
I honestly think you've obviously done a great job as CEO, but you haven't got this expertise in your business.
Yeah.
And by bringing this expertise into your business, you get the right person in there, I swear to you, it's going to revolutionise everything. I actually think the marketing manager can help you get back to the 15, and then we can build from there. If you watched all the way to the end, go and comment A player. You are an A player. You've watched this far. You know, give us your thoughts about this particular Business Growth Secrets audit in the comments. What an incredible business, and we're looking forward to seeing amazing results.
Okay, super. Thank you.